Well, we find Rogers fresh from internet moonlighting in various places and returning to his natural environment. The prediction of Swindon Town contests after the enforced international break, and Accrington Stanley is the venue for Ian Holloway's side this weekend. Before we get into our predictions, Rogers would like to thank a Mrs. Trubshaw of North Wiltshire for the scarf, which he has added to his attire. So too Accrington, struggling towards the foot of the table at the moment, but Swindon's 3 games with them last season, all ending in draws. 2 up at the Crown Ground, or insert the current sponsor there, and the other, in some ways, less memorable, but arguably more significant, in a 0-0 draw at the County Ground, where Ben Ward, once of Swindon, and Devon Matthews, a signing from Curzon Ashton in January, were as good at keeping Harry Smith, I'd argue, as restrained as anyone. But with Swindon in fine form and Accrington finding life difficult, especially after a defeat by Newport last weekend, how does Rogers assess, minus glasses, inevitably, this particular contest? And we can see the Rogers ratings are really pretty bullish about a win for Swindon here, coming in at more than a 50% chance of victory. Our technology likes Swindon's away form as a rule, even though they weren't quite as ruthless against Newport as they have been against everyone else. And it is also noted Accrington struggled to score goals, and I think create clear-cut chances. That was a very sort of low chance affair for Accrington last weekend when they came out on the wrong end of a 1-0 scoreline against Newport. So all in all, the Swindon having a pretty fit squad to take up to Lancashire. Signs are good according to the tech. So that is the Rogers ratings. Now to the second half of our usual weekly fare for you, the Rogers rankings. Reminder, this is the sort of current form table, if you like, who the rankings like and who they are less impressed by. And of course, it's time yet again to dig out your pictures of owls and vintage slimline Andy Gorham, because somehow the model is again enamoured of our good friends at Oldham Athletic, despite their defeat by Notts County and draw with Barrow in the last games that we've seen. They had the better of the game against Barrow, and I think the fact that Oldham don't give up many goals, our model here is waiting for them to score the number of goals that their sort of chances arguably merit, and then they will bloom like daffodils out on a Welsh coastline. Other than that, we see Colchester, the big new entry, in second place. That's after their absolute walloping of Chesterfield at home, and then what was ultimately, in terms of shots and all the rest of it, a pretty convincing win at Grimsby away. So 2 very tidy wins for Colchester. And with the recent victories given more weighting here, lo and behold, they have appeared like a Danny Cowley long throw out of nowhere. Bromley remaining sort of pretty steady. Swindon in 4th for the time being. Grimsby were our previous leaders down to 5th, especially after that quite notable home defeat by Colchester, and the ever-improving Barnet are tiptoeing into 6th place. Just a little look for the bottom 4 as Accrington are in it there, and arguably the story to follow here maybe is Tranmere Rovers, who escaped under Andy Crosby last season, despite not necessarily having a massive turn-up in looking at their kind of shots and the other stats. So one wonders whether they're back a little bit to square one up at Prenton Park. Accrington down there as well. Harrogate always put up terrible numbers. I'm a bit surprised. And even though Cheltenham have got their early points under Steve Cottrell, they still apparently have some work to do. Rogers will be back post Accrington at Saturday, and he will talk to you then.